This is Virtua Pro Wrestling. Hit that subscribe and notification button for great videos like this one. We have brought back TNA Impact from the 2007 era. This is our first Impact broadcast, and what's happening is the vacant TNA tag team titles are going to be decided. We got two spectacular teams coming. TNA has been rebooted by Virtua Pro from my favorite era, January 2007. This is our first Impact broadcast. And the Motor City Machine Guns of Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin are going to face off against the Latin American Exchange for the vacant TNA World Tag Team Championships in our opening contest. As we see the entrances for Alex Shelley and his partner, the great Chris Sabin. What would happen if we brought back TNA Impact with these stars from that era using the TNA Impact game? And we got Big Hernandez on the way to the ring. Super Mex on the way to the ring representing the Latin American Exchange. We're going to see who's going to walk out with the vacant TNA World Tag Team Championships to kick off our January 4th, 2007 TNA Impact broadcast brought to you by Virtua Pro Wrestling. So we're going to see what will happen when I brought TNA Impact back with the 2007-2008 roster using this game. And we got our contest underway. Shelley and Sabin really want those TNA titles, but Supermex and Homicide of the Latin American Exchange also want to be crowned our first TNA World Tag Team Champions. Conan, on his way, watching from the monitors, has made a mandate for Hernandez and Homicide to collect those TNA World Tag Team Championships. The Motor City Machine Guns, however, out to prove they're on their way to being the legendary team that we know them to be today, and they want to put those vacant TNA tag team titles around their waist. But also, we got, let's not forget, we got Team 3D here, so I'm sure they'll be eyeing the winner of this match on our inaugural reboot of 2007 TNA Impact broadcast. Supermex stomping away at Alex. That's Chris Sabin. Yes, stomping away at Sabin. Wow, dive off, but he missed. We can expect some great action here on tonight's TNA broadcast, brought to you by Virtua Pro Wrestling. We're bringing back the fun in gaming. And this is a legendary broadcast. We got Don West and Mike Tenay calling some of the action that you can hear in the background. The Latin American Exchange makes short work of the Motor City Machine Guns. If we have just crowned our first TNA World Tag Team Champions. But on to the next thing. The Great X Division title will be defended by three stalwarts of the X Division. We got Daniels, Joe, and AJ Styles in an Ultimate X match for the TNA X Division Championship, and we see Samoa Joe with the victory he's our first inaugural X Division champion, and we would be remiss to not have our fatal four-way in our main event for our TNA World Heavyweight Championship. the instant classic, Christian Cage. Four of the hottest stars in TNA of that time will compete for the vacant TNA World Heavyweight Championship. We got Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner. Probably TNA's best signing of that era. The man, Kurt Angle. So all four of these icons in the ring, these legends, who will win the TNA World Heavyweight Championship? We got fast and furious action. We got four men for themselves. Kurt Angle bringing that chair in, laying waste to his opponents. Sting thrown over the top rope in a hot and heavy contest. Near fall by Sting, broken up by Kurt Angle. In a hot and heavy contested match here on our main event. And your winner.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new era in TNA.
This week's broadcast begins with the debut of Nigel McGuinness, as he takes on Shark Boy. Shark Boy looking to spoil the debut of Nigel McGuinness. Shark Boy. But Nigel McGuinness is making his debut. Nigel McGuinness with a near fall on Shark Boy. Nigel McGuinness, a.k.a. Desmond Wolfe, coming in to challenge TNA, and he defeats Shark Boy in his debut on TNA Impact. Alex Shelley facing off against Homicide. You saw last week the Motor City Machine Guns lose their match for the vacant TNA Championship, but if Alex Shelley wins, the Motor City Machine Guns get another shot at LAX. And as we join the match, Fast and Furious Homicide trying to stop that number one contendership, trying to stop Shelley and Saban from challenging again for that Impact World Tag Team Championship that they won last week. LAX did. Alex Shelley pulling out all the stops, but Homicide not going to let him, as this is a great match between two very technical and brutal men at times. But Alex Shelley gets Homicide up. Oh! Alex Shelley going for the pinfall. 1, 2, 3. Alex Shelley securing the win and a title shot for the Motor City Machine Guns on a future Impact. Now, Kurt Angle defeated these three men last week to win the vacant TNA World Heavyweight title. Sting, Scott Steiner, and Christian Cage in a three-way to determine the number one contender and the next challenger for Kurt Angle, as these guys are going to brawl. But we know the Steiner and Christian Cage hired Scott Steiner to be his hired gun in the Christian Coalition. But Scott Steiner, wanting a TNA World Heavyweight title shot, is looking like his every man for themselves as we see these three men battle. Who will face Kurt Angle for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship? With fast and furious action in here. It looks like Christian Cage and Scott Steiner, it looks like they're going to go into business for themselves. It looks like there will be no alliance in this match. Every man wants a shot at that TNA World Heavyweight Championship. As we can see, it does look like they're going to try to isolate Sting and then battle amongst themselves, although this is not an elimination match. We got to see what's going to happen. I'm sure Kurt Angle is watching from the back to see who will be the challenger for his title. Sting wants it. Scott Steiner wants it. Christian wants it. And we know Christian will pull out every stop to get it. Christian Cage will pull out every stop to get it. And actually so will Scott Steiner. But it looks like they're double teaming, double stomping Sting. Sting still being double teamed. Christian has this chance to take, but Sting's up. Sting's very resilient, as we know. But Scott Steiner's up. Scott Steiner laying waste to both Christian Cage and Sting here in this clip. My goodness. Scott Steiner, a man possessed, a man who's never held that TNA World Heavyweight Championship, and he would love to put it in his trophy case of his many titles and championships. But so would Christian, and so would Sting. Breaking up that powerbomb attempt. Oh, Christian Cage. Oh, Scott Steiner with the reversal there. Sting, it might be Sting's opportunity. Sting going for the near fall here. Christian Cage in to break it up. Sting with the near fall on Scott Steiner. Seconds away from being the #1 contender. But Christian Cage going out to get that steel chair. Scott Steiner taking advantage. Oh, Christian with those steel chair shots to Steiner, and Steiner's help seems like he's helping Cage, but no, Steiner going into business for himself. Steiner knocking Christian out of the way. Scotty Steiner. Christian seems prone and helpless. Steiner recliner. Sting breaks it up. Fast and Furious. Oh, Steiner over the top. This might be Sting or Christian's chance to pull away a victory here if they can hit their finisher on one another. Christian with the unprettier. Oh, Steiner rolling back in to break up the pinfall. Steiner really wants this world title shot, as he's proving that his alliance Christian Cage short-lived for that title shot opportunity. We're bringing back TNA Impact from the 2007-2008 era. My favorite era of TNA, as I would book it, using the TNA Impact game. And we got in a hotly contested contest, a three-way for the #1 contendership, the Kurt Angle's TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Steiner going for the recover on Sting. 1, 2, 3. Christian Cage could not break up that pinfall. Here's your #1 contender, Scott Steiner. The interest rap, Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle has just let Scott Steiner know he notices him and puts him on notice. Main event time. X Division Championship on the line. Our inaugural X Division champion, Samoa Joe, is going to take on AJ Styles in our main event for the X Division title. Styles believed he was unfairly double teamed by Daniels and Joe, even though Joe and Daniels, of course, have no alliance. But AJ getting a title shot from the matchmakers in our main event on our January 11th, 2007 episode of Impact Wrestling. TNA Impact. We're branding TNA, total non-stop action, in our main event with two TNA stalwarts, two of the greatest performers ever in wrestling to grace TNA. Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles for the X Division title. Last week we saw Samoa Joe defeat AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels in an Ultimate X match to become our inaugural TNA X Division champion. AJ Styles granted a rematch based upon his performances, based upon him being the first and one of the only Triple Crown winners in TNA history. But Samoa Joe looking to prove his dominance as TNA X Division champion. It's not going to let the reputation, the pedigree, the acumen of AJ Styles get in his way and to prove his dominance of the X Division and indeed all divisions. Samoa Joe's looking to, on his first title defense on this week's Impact, to put down AJ Styles. But AJ Styles, we know he's a competitor. This AJ Styles, unlike the one that you see in WWE now, this is the most athletic. This is the most determined. This is the most hungry and raw AJ Styles that you will see. Although Samoa Joe looking to dominate the action here, Samoa Joe undefeated Samoan submission machine, our current and inaugural X Division champion, with the reversal on AJ Styles. AJ Styles with the reversal. This is a back and forth contest. These two men know each other so well. The matchmakers have deemed this to be the main event of this week's Impact. Two TNA stars, two TNA originals going at it in our rebooted TNA universe. We're getting a near fall there by AJ Styles. Samoa Joe kicks out at 2. We almost had a new X Division champion. AJ Styles taking it to Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe has to rally back in order to have his first successful defense of the TNA X Division Championship. Oh, nice drop kick there by AJ Styles. And AJ Styles looking to do his finisher, but Samoa Joe blocking that Styles clash. Samoa Joe showing why he's the dominant Samoan submission machine, going for an armbar on AJ Styles. Can AJ Styles break free, or he'll be forced to tap to this devastating maneuver? And let's listen to the commentary of the great TNA announcers, Mike Tenay and Don West for the rest of this contest. Another successful defense for Samoa Joe. Tune in next week as we do week 3 and 4 of January 2007 in our booking of TNA Impact, using the TNA Impact game, which I think is a very underrated game. So we're going to book 2 months of TNA, January 2007 and February 2007. See what feuds are going to happen. Who's going to hold titles? Who's going to lose titles? So tune in to Virtua Pro as we reboot our version of the 2007 era of TNA using the TNA Impact game. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to hit the subscribe and notification button to keep abreast of all the things going on in this channel. We will see you next week. Signing off.